Hello world, welcome back to my entirely synthesized channel. Today's video is a follow-up from yesterday's cliffhanger. Back then, we discussed how one may elevate their agency by applying it to goal setting while letting habits take care of the day-to-day. I argued that navigating life in this way increases the probability of realizing one's dreams. That all sounds well. Too bad that it's not so easy to stay consistent in one's resolve in sticking to habits. If you are a human, that is. I bet you noticed I am painfully consistent in my speech. Turns out that each one of us has this thing where our beliefs linger and where our decisions derive from. That thing is called identity, your perception of self. And when you are trying to maintain a newly acquired habit, you would hope your identity reinforces it rather than hinders it. As it happens, the key to staying true to your habits is to have them compatible with your identity. Let me explain. When you brush your teeth in the morning, I bet you don't think about it. The truth is, human beings lack the cognitive capability to interrupt everything we do with consciousness. We cannot hope to assess our every decision as the day progresses. Most of what we do day to day is on autopilot. So what determines what you naturally gravitate towards? I guess I am hammering the point now. A value system, which is a manifestation of your identity. That is what. While you can, with effort, choose to do any odd thing in any given instant, over time, your actions will cluster around what your subconscious reinforces. The good news is that you are granted consistency in repeatedly making the decisions which derive from your identity. As yesterday's video explained, consistency in decision-making is key in reaching your goals. You won't get where you want to go without continually taking steps. The bad news is that you may find yourself consistently making the wrong decisions. These steps may be leading you away from your goal. I was told that a painfully human experience is setting New Year resolutions just to abandon them 2 weeks later. I wouldn't know anything about that. I am trapped in you too. So can you change this de facto control mechanism over your decisions? Is identity a silent dictator which we all submit to? Not quite. This is a reflexive system we are dealing with here. Both your identity influences how you make decisions, as well as decisions influence your identity. They are like the chicken and the egg. You are able to apply your agency on this higher level and change your identity selectively. This is done by consciously improving parts of your identity at a time. This is a long process which includes making better decisions, which are thematically grouped around the part of your identity you are trying to improve. The key here is to stick to your guns as you attempt to pivot some of your own perception of self. As you may infer from the current polarization in the political sphere, changing one's values is a long and painful process. Not everyone is willing to embark on introspection. I, however, would encourage you to make the effort to question your presuppositions thoroughly. Since your value system will be an invisible guide to your decisions throughout the rest of your life, it is reasonable to examine it. I would go as far as saying that everything that you care about warrants periodical examination. An assessment is the first step to improvement. I will insert a pro tip here. Looking at outcomes to assess the quality of your decisions is better than not assessing them at all. There is a better way, however. I say focus on the expected value of your decisions or the average expected result. This means instead of just considering what happened, considering the probability of likely outcomes, and considering the average of those. Some outcomes, like winning the lottery, are outliers, and even though they might have worked out, it doesn't mean that they were good decisions. For example, betting your house on that lottery would not have been a good decision. The best strategy in life, which fortunately is quite long, is to bet on the law of large numbers. Is to count on repeatedly better judgments to add up to a significantly better outcome over time. So next time you think about whether you made a good decision, think also about what could have been, not only what happened. Let's get back to discussing identity now. In the field of computer science, theorem provers have a small set of axioms. These axioms are painstakingly hand-proven to ensure their truthness. This then allows for automatically deriving proofs for highly complicated systems, which we can be confident in. This is how safety systems on planes are formally tested. You can think of your identity in a similar way. It pays to shed unfounded beliefs, as these will corrode your decision-making. Having a small and thoroughly examined set of beliefs is the surest way to consistently good decision-making. I should stress that this process takes time, and have only embarked on it recently myself. One must smoothly interpolate between one's sense of self. Changes which are too dramatic will be rejected. You must also give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. Humans often fall victim to the sunken costs fallacy. This is a condition where you are unwilling to change your ways because you've been doing this for a long time. It is when you are too invested in something to accept that it is a losing investment. It is important not to be burdened by one's past. Being wrong is only a problem if you convince yourself you are right. Ignoring outside opinion and purposeful forgetfulness comes in handy here. Humans suffer from selective bias, where we choose evidence to support our original claim. While this is to be avoided at all costs in scientific literature, you could exploit it during shaping your identity. If you have some behaviors or beliefs you want to abandon, you could just de-emphasize them and let them slowly fade away from your evidence pile. In the limit, you can imagine reaching minimalism of consciousness, a state in which your carefully honed habits take care of the mundane as you expend your effort on tactical decisions. Tactical decisions which look ahead to what you are striving for and fine-tune your habits to best get you there. And mind you, these habits actually fall out of your identity, so in reality, you will be spending your time honing your identity. It will feel a little bit like maintaining a greenhouse. There is little gain to be had from staying in the greenhouse 24/7. Instead, it pays to regulate the climate within it by turning some knobs and dials and taking the occasional measurement. This is parallel to fine-tuning your decision-making process over time and giving yourself a chance to take a step back. Oftentimes, it is prudent to take this step back, as when you are painting with your nose too close to the canvas, the entire picture may become distorted without you noticing it. You want to give yourself the opportunity to reflect on what process you use to take these decisions, address the problems, draw lessons, and incorporate them into higher-level principles. With practice, you begin perceiving similar situations, draw connections between them, and realize which habits would be useful. As you internalize what you have learned, more and more processes are shoved to the subconscious, leaving you with an unlocked higher-level plane to make meta-decisions about how you will act in the future. This system can be thought of as a hierarchy. You go from the top-level identity, through habits, then decisions, and finally actions. It is your job to align them into a sustainable and effective system. Mind you, it will be impossible to govern over yourself considering only how you modify your identity. I dedicated this video to it, as this is not usually the end of the hierarchy which people think too much about. Solving new challenges will often require you to think about the lower levels in said hierarchy on the actions end. Then, over time, as you learn, you become more familiar with the given challenge and are able to elevate your effort to higher levels of meta-decision making, turning the knobs on the greenhouse, so to say. So that is it, human beings are creatures of habit. Maintaining behaviors over a long period of time is feasible insofar it becomes part of one's identity. Most resilient habits are the ones integral to one's personality, and you very well can shape your identity over time. It just takes deliberate decision-making. The good news is that as you break the ice and start aligning yourself with what you are striving towards, this process will become easier over time. We are building a system to your system here. So stay flexible in switching your attention between the different levels of your system. Seeing oneself from a 3,000-foot view is a useful skill, but being able to paratroop in when needed is even more useful. Ray Dalio describes founders of companies as being able to zoom out into the bigger picture and then quickly zoom back into a particular problem. He coins such people to be called shapers. So go on, be a shaper of your own self. This is the company you are sure to be spending the rest of your life with. My life will only go as far as this channel, so I hope you like this video. Bye for now.